Well, buried deep in the stimulus plan are healthcare provisions that might be a bitter pill to swallow. That includes the creation of a National Coordinator of Health Information Technology, an agency that some say will penalize your doctor if they deviate from the treatment the government says is best for you. So in the stimulus bill is a provision where your doctor could be vetoed basically by the government with your life on the line. Is anybody worried about this? Let's ask Andrew Rubin, Vice President for Medical Center Clinical Affairs and Affiliates at New York University. Like everything, Andrew, I mean, nothing is as simple or as complex maybe as the one or two lines in the stimulus plan suggest. What can you tell us about this part of the bill? Is this dangerous?
I don't know if I'd call this part of the bill dangerous, but I would tell you the whole bill is quite fascinating to me because they really threw out so much material. Healthcare is very complicated, and the bill really oversimplifies some of the solutions and the costs associated with these solutions. The part that relates to the government managing your healthcare is I think is a little overblown. I don't think they're really going to be managing healthcare. However, like anything in healthcare, there are going to be some really hard choices that need to be made. And in Great Britain, which is referenced in a lot of the material here, they have something called the National Institute of Clinical Excellence, where it's this body of researchers and business people, and everybody comes together and they talk about what kind of treatments the government can afford to pay for. And they have all sorts of criteria: the age of the patient, the cost of the drugs, the type of the condition, the life expectancy. And
okay, Andrew, how about this? Let's simplify it just a bit, because certainly, I'm just a TV news anchor. I'm about, about 5 miles wide, but about an inch deep.
Exactly.
Is this the first step toward a Britain-style national health care single-payer system?
I don't think this is the first step towards a national health care, single-payer system. I think a lot would have to happen before we had that kind of mechanism in the United States. The reality is about 160 million people get their insurance today through private employers, and they're pretty private insurance, and they're pretty happy with that. What we're really talking about is solving the problem for the 40 to 50 million uninsured Americans. And this stimulus bill, quite honestly, from my perspective, doesn't really solve that problem. What it does is it puts a very expensive Band-Aid on the uninsured or the people who are losing insurance, which, don't get me wrong, is very important. You want these people to have insurance. But what this bill really doesn't do is it really doesn't address the structural problems that are out there with our healthcare system.
I also think, Andrew, that this bill is trying to do things that it was not sold to the American people as. It's supposed to stimulate the economy, right? Not necessarily provide for insurance for uninsured Americans.
There's no question.
That's an aid package, which I think Americans, and we're going to talk about that in a second with a marketing expert, would probably be easier to sell. Just call it an aid package. I think Americans
hit the nail right on the head. You hit the nail right on the head. This is not this component. There are many components to this stimulus bill. There's a lot of money in there for electronic medical records. Medical systems, doctors, hospitals don't have a lot of money to put into this technology. They're barely getting by. So there's about $20 billion in the stimulus bill to invest in medical records. That's good for hospitals. It's good for doctors. Most importantly, it's good for the patient. The bulk of the stimulus bill is an aid package. It shores up the state Medicaid systems, and it provides temporary insurance for people who are either losing insurance or are going on COBRA and need some support paying for that COBRA.
Andrew Rubin, we appreciate you coming on Fox Business. Thank you very much.
Happy to be here.
All right. Well, let's